welcome Sue Smyth on the screen there and Joanne Mitchell here at my farm. This is an East Coast, West Coast meeting we're having together. This is Tongue Tied, the Ride and Die interviews, and I am so glad to have the two of you with me for this time tonight. You guys are two of our most experienced and also our most successful ride managers or race managers, I should say. And I wanted to talk to you and give you the chance to share with our ride and tie community some about what it means to be a race manager and some of the things that competitors ought to know about race management and all that kind of thing. And we're recording in October. It's baseball season, and you guys have a slightly different approaches to things. Joanne has 12 whole miles in her ride and die career, but she's been doing the events that she puts on for 25 years. So she's more like the manager. But Sue, you're more like the player coach or the player manager because you also race. And you're pushing 1,000 miles. I don't know if you know that or not, but you're getting.
No, I don't. I just have been in and out of it throughout the years since 81, 82, somewhere around there.
So you're getting there. You're over 900, and there's probably fewer than 40 people in ride and die history that have 1,000 miles. So that's a goal for you to look forward to.
Right. But I'm wondering if Joanne and I get miles for the miles that we put in marking trail and
Indeed.
Putting on the races. I mean, that's a big challenge in itself.
But yes. Both on horseback and you got your steps in too. I know. Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
So Sue, you have been, tell me your career, how you got started in ride and tie and then how you got started in management.
Well, I started out as an endurance rider back in 1975. And my sister actually was the first one to do ride and tie. I think the first year she did it was maybe, I want to think 75, 76, somewhere back in there. And moving up into 1981 Verdi, I went up to crew for her. And I just saw the excitement of the camp and the runners and the riders and the team efforts that were being put in, and I fell in love with it. So I went back and did Eureka in San Jose with Eric Thompson. We were sponsored by Converse back then, so we got the whole outfits and the bags, and that was pretty neat. And I just loved it, but then I went on to the next endurance event of raising children and going to nursing school. So I kind of had to step back. And around 2000, maybe two, I started showing up and doing the Equathon. Really was not made up by me. It was called Duathlon, and so I was doing that. And I was doing some ride and tie short course because I just had a horse for that, and just kind of meddling in it and just developed a passion for it along the line to where I wanted to do it more and more. Frank Lieberman, a long time endurance rider, ride and tire, and Western States runner, one of the 40 who have done all three. He really got me excited for a few years there. So he was the manager of the Coolest Ride and Tie. And when he left it, I just couldn't imagine it not being there. And so I took over, and I think it was like maybe 2013 is when I took over. But I do want to share with you that I recently found out that Coolest Ride and Tie was started in the early 90s. So Coolest Ride and Tie is definitely should be called a legacy ride.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. So Joanne, tell me how you got involved in ride and tie and a little bit about your management career.
Well, I started my first one as manager in 1999 at Big South Fork. I did not compete, and I still don't compete, but I think I'm effective as a manager because I try to think of everything possible that can happen, and sometimes it does. So just from that point of view, that's how I got started, because there weren't many riding ties in the Southeast at all. I would have had to go to Virginia to get one. And so I just said, well, I'm going to do it myself.
How did you hear about riding tie or learn about it?
Long story. I mean, through Western Horseman, they would have like a little, advertisement in there. And, I'd heard about it. I'd seen it on TV. I thought, that sounds pretty cool. My dad used to run. He ran on the cross country team for Auburn prior to World War II. And, so there was some runners in my family, no other horsemen except me. But that's how it got started.
Okay. Before we really talk about some specifics about ride management, I just want to hear some stories out of either one of you. So tell me some memorable races, maybe something that was wonderful or something that maybe wasn't so wonderful that happened at a race or two when you look back over your career. What stands out? Let's start with you, Sue.
Oh gosh, I'm just trying to think about well, one story that I know is memorable was when I was back in my 20s. My girlfriend went up with me to Eureka, and we had our tent. And think of the story because it comes up by someone tells me this story every single year. But my girlfriend and I, during the week of getting ready for the event, we would go in our tent with our lantern at night and get ready for bed. And if you've ever seen Austin Powers, you can imagine what that looked like. So that's a funny story I can share with you about the camping part of it. And again, I this weekend I got reminded of it. One thing I wanted to share is Coolest Ride Tie is not the coolest of all events. Frequently we are in the 90s, low 100s. It's hot, it's dry out there, even into the fall season. However, this year I told everyone I was going to try to turn down the heat and provide them with a cooler event, but I didn't mean to turn it down so far that it rained the whole night before and the whole event. And the outcome of the participants, we had 29 teams show up, and out of 30, and everyone had a great time. So that was very memorable to me because I was the whole night long, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. And are people going to show up? And are they going to be unhappy? And will this affect future races? But no, they had a great time. And a lot of them were children. And some new, athletes that were 30 to 40 years old. So that's a good target audience that we want.
And then that's great. And I know a lot of that does have to do with they knew if they were coming to your event, they were going to have a good time. And so if it's raining, but I'm still not going to miss it. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we still actually, we have someone who shows up and plays music at the finish line. He was still there. We have brought back the food. So we started that a little earlier. So lunch was basically at 10:30 in the morning. And the great awards that they love. So it was just, it was fun. Super fun.
In another tongue-tied interview just recently, I interviewed Karen Chatton and Jennifer Sandals, who did that race, and they had so much fun. And so
nice.
I know, and they were impressed with the number of younger folks that they saw out there that were competing, and did, like they said, they didn't plan on it raining all day long, but it didn't dampen their spirits. So that's great. Yeah.
Nice to hear.
Yeah. How about you, Joanne? Memorable races or events?
The ones that involve youth probably are more memorable. I think your daughter got lost one year, and she didn't have the horse.
Yeah, no, she did not tie the horse well, and the horse got lost. That was what happened. Remember? Yeah.
And another time, a junior, a teenager, had the horse but got off course and things went wrong. This year we had a team of junior riders that saw a bear, and you always wonder, bears and kids running, that's not a good thing. And we've gotten into bees, we've seen snakes. So there's all kinds of fun stuff out in the woods.
Yeah. So my second ever riding tie was with my daughter Sarah, and the horse got loose, and he was missing for about 6 hours somewhere in the Big South Fork Wilderness. And you drove me all over everywhere, and you would drop me at one trailhead and tell me to run. And when I got to the road, you'd pick me up over there. But finally, somebody ponied him in. We never found him, but they did, of course, got him in. So that's one of my memorable stories about one of your races. Even though I've got so many others, I won't go into those. Well, one of the things that at my work, we often tease our other staff members about, well, it's not in my job description, but I'll do it anyway. And I know that the ride manager's job description is gigantic anyway, but can you think of some things, either one of you, that weren't in your job description that you ended up having to do anyway at a particular race or not?
I've had to be ambulance driver when I wasn't supposed to be, but I had an empty trailer there, so I was ambulance driver.
So that's ambulance driver for the horse.
For the horse. The ambulance driver for the people, as long as they can get to a real ambulance, that my job is over.
I guess it's the janitorial when you have outhouses delivered or you're at a park setting, you're hoping there's plenty of toilet paper. But I've learned over the year, you need to bring a couple packs of toilet paper.
Definitely not in your job description, but somebody's got to do it. Yep. Oh,
someone's got to do it.
Yep. Well, we're going to talk in a little bit about the specific things that race managers have to do. But I'm wondering, before we even get there, if you'll share with me, what are some things you wish competitors knew that maybe they don't know about what it takes to put on a riding tie? Sue, you want to start?
Well, I wish they understood how much time and effort goes into organization and making sure that we have all the correct information and that they show up on time. One thing that happens, and I always feel so horrible, is everybody wants to talk to me, and I am trying to multitask and do so many things, especially when I'm at the finish line and we have 4 races finishing, and then we have the equathon where we're trying to add up the times. And I know they want me to stop and hear what's been going on with them over the last year. And so that's really hard. One thing that's helped with my organization is I had to stop taking any entries after the Thursday before. What that does is it encourages them to have their entries in, and that way I can send out names of all the participants and numbers out to all our aid stations, which we have 2 on the coolest. That has helped. The other thing is getting people to join Ride and Tie, because if they don't join, then afterwards, just trying to chase them down. Also, getting them to understand that I do this for passion. I love Ride and Tie. I do this because seeing their smiles of satisfaction at the end means everything to me. But there is always that time where I'm like, why am I still doing this? I have, my own full-time job and my own horses, and I want to do it. So I've gotten to do it the last couple years. I've done it because my course manager is my partner, and she'll go out and check the course in the morning with the equathon, and then I will go out and ride behind everybody and make sure everyone's okay. We have had some things I'm not going to talk about that happened a couple of years ago that was really difficult on the trail, but just being out there was really good, that I was out there to kind of oversee things. I want to do the Ride and Tie again. So when we put on the championships next year, cool. June 20, I think it's 21st and 22nd. I will not be the manager, but I will help with the organization because I want to have the ability to do it.
Yeah, that's great. So a couple things I heard in there. One is sign up early to help.
Sign up early.
You know you're coming, go ahead and do that. That boy, what help that is. And realize that the ride manager wants to hear about what you did, but maybe not right there at the end or right in the middle of all of the festivities or right in the middle of the race at least. Yeah, good. Okay.
And membership. Have your membership updated.
Yeah. So you don't have to track them down later. Good deal. Joanne, what about you? What are some things you wish competitors knew?
Well, that I do this for the love of the sport. I don't get I cannot retire on my earnings. So I mean, I keep my entries very low, or what I consider low, because I know you have diesel expenses and all kinds of, expenses getting there, and I don't want, the registration fee to be a hindrance. So I do it for the love of the sport, and that's why I do it.
Yeah. And so and Sue kind of mentioned that too. You this is not a money making venture. This is a passion. And people need to know that too. This is not because that hopefully will make them more thankful for what you're doing. You're not trying to soak them for how much money. You're just trying to either make some money. Sue, I know you've done several benefits for different things. Which is
mine is always a benefit, and we have donated not only to the Western States Trail, which is part of our trail system that we ride on, but that's developed a lot of good relationships. We got invited as a VIP to the Tevis dinner this year, so we got a lot of recognition. But we also have donated to the fires, for FFA jackets and for medications for animals. And we had a fire that burned down a town just north of here, Paradise. We did a benefit, included a run, and we were able to donate $3,700 to their park to replace the park. We have done Horses Honor, which is run by Eric and Nina Thompson, and it's a sanctuary for horses to the end of their life. I always do one race a year that will go towards Horses Honor because Eric manages all our water for us. He comes out with the troughs. He makes sure that all the troughs are filled. He removes the troughs and returns them back. And Eric is a long-time riding time member, again, one of the 40, who has done all three of the events of Western States, Tevis and Ryan Tai. So this event, we are donating a fair amount. I'm still kind of figuring out all my expenses, which it doesn't end when the race is over. There's a lot of unpacking. There's a lot of cleaning. There's a lot of reorganizing. There's a lot of bills to pay. There is a lot of tracking down to make sure you have all the correct information, addresses, phone numbers, emails. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Good. Well, this is a similar question. We're going to get to the things you love about it, but this is a passion for you. But even things that we're passionate about have things that still bring us headaches. And so what are the biggest challenges or maybe the biggest headaches that you have? And Joanne, we'll start with you this time.
It's not really a headache, but there's a lot of computer skills that are involved, making the timer sheets so that they know who they're looking for. Being nitpicky on spelling of your horse's name. Is it the registered name? Is it his stable name? And because the statistician for Ride & Tie, tracks the horse mileage too, and is the horse, a long registered name or the little short name, or it's picky and time consuming, but that's part of it.
Yeah, and not just the horses changing their name, the people changing their names.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Get married or get divorced or whatever. Indeed. Yep. Well,
something.
How about you, Sue? What are your in spite of the passion, what are the headaches? What are the most challenging parts for you?
I think the paperwork, this time I actually handed it over to someone else to put it together. One of the reasons was that I on this interview, you don't know, but my last event, I broke my wrist. I shattered my wrist, had surgery 1 week before the event. And thank God for my volunteers, because that event went off very well. Not that I remember much of it, but I do hear stories about my little bit of incoherence from all the medication. But this time I still am having some difficulties with my computer or writing. So I had to literally take everything and feel comfortable enough to send it over to someone else to do, and be able to answer their questions by either phone. That was really hard for me to let go. But in the same token, as race managers, we need to learn how to let go, and we need to learn how to delegate. So this is a good thing.
Great. Yep. Okay, so that's the headaches. Now let's do the fun stuff. What are the best parts, that the most fun, or the thing that brings you most energy about managing a ride and tie? And Sue, we'll start with you.
The kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When the kids are coming in, I don't care if it's 2 kids or it's the kids and their parents. It's the kids. I love the kids. I get so excited over the kids doing this because they're our future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And one of the great things about riding tie is we don't have a lower age limit or an upper age limit. If you can get on a horse and you can just stumble around, you can do it. So yeah, that's super. How about you, Joanne? You said the kids.
I enjoy the family aspect of riding tie. Several of my regular teams are, mother-daughter, grandmother, and another grandkid. And, their mileage is increasing. They started at 4, so they had to have the 4-mile riding tie. And then they got a year older, so they had to have the 5-mile riding tie. And then they got another year older at 6. And I think grandma's going to say, that's it. But, we have a family atmosphere. I know with the World Championships, great uncle, you were uncle.
And great uncle.
Uncle and great uncle to kids in the, short events. I always try to have a very short event, 4-milers, because just about anybody can do 4 miles. 7 miles is a little, sketchy for some of us seniors, but that's okay. I like the family aspect. I really do.
Yeah, good. Yep. And the other thing about the family aspect is, in our family, I'm sure there's others too, the folks that don't compete, a lot of them crew, and that's what they want to do, and then that's a great thing too. So yeah, you were going to say something.
One thing I wanted to add is that we're getting a lot of iron folks, and that's been really exciting, because, interesting enough, 2 of the 5 that came to my last event said, I hope we have all day to do this because we're old and, we're like, 70. No, they flew through that. It's a 9-mile course, and they flew through that course. So that really just says that, it really empowers some of us, the population that's aging, and we're starting to think we can't, because really we can. We're just slower.
Yep. And you mentioned iron, just for those who might not know, that's a form of equithon where you ride a loop and then you run the loop. You don't have a partner. So yeah, indeed.
Right. Yeah.
At the World Championship this year, just a couple of weeks ago, we had a couple of 75-year-old men and a 26-year-old horse did the equithon. And that was really, really cool. So you're exactly right. Yep. I hesitate almost to ask this question. And as I start listing everything that I thought of, I know I left stuff out. I want to encourage people ultimately to take on ride management, but it involves doing all kinds of things. You have to secure the venue and hire the vets and recruit volunteers and mark an unmarked trail, advertising an event, which is something, by the way, Sue, you're great at. Buying the prizes and the completion awards, setting up the spreadsheets for all of the various races, managing any problems that arise. All that seems daunting. How do you guys do that and maintain your sanity?
Delegate, delegate. Even if it's, can you handle the awards? You know, just do the awards, and I'm happy.
How about you, Sue?
Well, for me, I could not do it without my friend Kathy Mason. Again, Kathy Mason, another one of the 40. She does all my trail marking for me. She designs the courses. She's already designed the course for next year for the 2024 championships. So I'll keep that a secret for right now. But the fact that she can get out there and get that done is a big part. As far as the prizes go, I get those ordered at the beginning of the year, so that I have all the prizes. I have a lot of donors that donate a lot of gift certificates and blankets and other items. And I reach out to a lot of sponsors. I had Sarah V, which women all know Sarah V because it's a wonderful face moisturizer. They sponsored us this year, so I've been able to give that out to all my volunteers. With the volunteers, they're starting to call me, and I make a point to give them always a little thank you gift. So when they sign in, when they arrive, that I know they're there, they check their address and phone number for me, but I have a little thank you gift for them because it makes them, I think they really appreciate the acknowledgement, and it helps them to come back. But yeah, I think it's just, I've already, everything that I put away on Sunday and Monday was repacked for next year, and it's ready to go.
Yeah, good deal. Good deal. So one of the things that both of you do so well is your events are well attended. Sometimes riding ties, they'll just have a couple of teams, and then that's fine. But you guys are going to have many more than that. What are some of the ways that you make sure that you help get the word out, or how is it that you get so many people to come? Joanne, you want to start?
Okay, I do a limited amount of advertising locally. The cross country teams for high school, and local feed stores, tack stores, all the regular venues, and just talk to the people behind the counter. What is a ride and tie? And of course, with my other thing with the donkey race, that's even wilder. And you just try and get all the people together, and because you're all interested in a fun activity.
How about you, Sue? How do you get people to come?
Well, I really need to be putting out more signs, but I just don't seem to have the time to do that. But what I do is I do send out an email to the list of people that I have. I go back through the handbook. I send out to about the last 5 years of people who have shown up for ride and ties. I will attach, maybe the first time I might put save the date, the second time I might attach an entry with it. As I get closer to the event, more of these go out. So I don't just do it once. So my first time I'll be doing it for the May event will be in January. In February, I might do it again. In March, I might do it again. In April, I'll do it maybe once or twice during the month. Again, just keep sending the entry because maybe they don't open it once because they go, oh, I'll think about that later. I'll go back and find it, but I try to keep it up. The other thing is I have the coolest Ride and Tie Facebook. I have around 700-800 on my coolest Ride and Tie Facebook. I know Facebook probably isn't as popular as it used to be, so I'm not sure if I'm still hitting as many people. And again, just word of mouth.
And one of the things I know about both of you is y'all are wonderful. Joanne kind of mentioned it, but promoters, word of mouth. Jennifer Sandals, who I talked to earlier, said the way she got in riding tie, she was out riding a horse someplace, and there you were riding your horse, and you started talking to her about riding tie, and next thing you know, she's at Coolest doing riding tie. And then this year, she had to take a few years off with kids and all, but now she's back again. And so a great example of it's not all about the technology. Some of it's just the letting the person on the trail know, hey, you ought to try this.
Yeah, and actually that's what we do for the people who do equithon, the horse people, because if they come and do equithon, then they'll go and do ride and tie. It kind of, moves them through. But I'll find runners on the trail for my horse people. They'll go, oh, I'll ride my horse, but I need a partner. So I'll just be on the trail and, hey, you want to come do this race? And they love it. So I don't really have to do as much anymore because it kind of is doing its own thing. I'm limited to 40, no more than 40. And so we're always between 30 and 40 entries. And so right now for now it's going good, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how many of these we can really move into the World Championships for next year. I'd like to have a really good turnout is my goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So Joanne, you have an interesting distinction because one of your events that you do is a standalone and the other is connected to an endurance ride. If I'm thinking about managing a ride and tie, what would I need to know about either or both of those?
The standalone is, I'm paying for vets and other things, so that needs to have a little bit more high, $20 higher entry fee just to cover those expenses. With the endurance ride, I'm picking up more staff actually, because they have their own trail master, they have their own cook, they have their own, it's stuff that I don't have to provide. So in a way, it's easier with the endurance ride than with the standalone.
However, you just retired from the endurance ride and you're keeping the other one, right?
Right, because the Giddy Up is the only one with the burro race, and since I started that 4 years ago, I want to continue it.
So just if people don't know, tell us about the burro race and how that.
The burro race is run with basically the same rules as the Western Pack Burro Association, which is based out of Colorado. But I already have the vets there, so there's no problem. And those people are almost as crazy as we are.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun this year. Yep. Sue, if I'm thinking about being a ride and tie race manager or somebody else, what advice and maybe even more particular encouragement would you give me?
Probably the first thing I would say is to reach out to another race manager and ask them how they do it and take their guidance.
That's great. Yep. How about you, Joanne?
Number one, be flexible. Learn how to delegate. There's sort of like two different ways to do a manager. You can either do it all yourself, or you can, one person manages the site and the trails and the other person does the paperwork, entries, and handles the money. So there's different ways of doing it. There's no one set way, and just learn to be flexible because you have to learn to adapt.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Well, like when it rains.
Exactly. Yep. Or you end up being the horse ambulance driver or whatever might happen. Absolutely. Yeah. So here's the bonus part of our thing. You said something earlier that I want to know a little more about this, Sue. You said I didn't invent Equithon, but I thought you did invent Equithon. So tell me how Equithon happened. Tell me the duathlon and then Equithon, or what? Tell me that story.
Well, I can't even think how far back I was doing it, but I know I did it over at Quicksilver Park when Skip Lightfoot and Dan Barger were putting on those events back then in the 90s. And then again at Your Valley with the Ride and Tie, they were calling it a duathlon. I'm the one who changed the name to Equithon, and it was just kind of a play on words. And I did it because sometimes we just have to make some changes to grow our sport and keep it going. And really getting the people for Equithon in either meets the needs of those who will only ride and only run but sometimes it takes those and turns those into to riding tires. So I'm a standalone. I need both events to keep it going. And it changes. My audience of competitors changes. Sometimes I have more ride and tie, sometimes I have more equithon, sometimes more long course, sometimes more short course, sometimes more kids, sometimes more older people. But it's just about keeping it going, because we're in year 52 now, and we need to do what we have to do to keep it going.
And let me say how excited I am that the 52nd is going to be with you and at Coolest, because I just can't imagine a better, not that I've ever been there, but I can't imagine a better venue. I'm always trying to think, is there some way I can get out there? And I said, we're going to be talking about that, you and I, before too long. But anyway, I'm so glad you're doing that next year. It's just going to be great. And I would encourage everybody to if you can make it to that, or whatever your closest riding tie is, if you've never done one.
From the team I'm developing, what they're saying to me is that they said they're going to make it epic.
All right. That's what we want to hear. That's what I want to hear. Indeed. Indeed. I want to thank both of you. You have meant so much to Ride and Tie over the years, and it would be a much impoverished sport if it weren't for the two of you and all that you have done. And so thank you so much. Joanne did literally pass a torch for Big South Fork to our next ride manager, who is going to be Lori Little, but it'll Big South Fork will continue. And I think you took the torch from Karen Isaacs, is that right? From there, so
wasn't a real torch, but yeah,
right, exactly. But yeah, but she passed the torch to you, and I'm thankful that you're continue doing the giddy up, and then taking Coolest to the World Championship, making it the World Championship is just obviously the next great evolution for that race too. So thanks so much to both of you for all that you've done for Riding Tide.
Thank you for putting this together tonight.